And cool. And now the audio is in sync. What's up? How's it going? Welcome to my floor, where we're going to be recording today's video because I don't feel like sitting in a chair and my cat is sleeping in the chair that I would usually sit in. So we're going to be on the floor today talking about why consistency is so hard for creators and for I guess just mainly people in general. I feel like consistency and staying consistent and having like a self drive is really, really complicated and hard. I'm going to be talking about it, of course, in forms of artistry today, but feel free to apply this to literally anything else that you see fit. I got a little thing written down here. All right, so I have had a lot of hard time in consistency in my past, from being able to stay consistent with music and like practicing like instruments like guitar and ukulele and different things like that, as well as just producing and keeping up with that type of thing. It's mainly a lot about self-drive for me. Like I seem to get into my own head a lot. And I've also had consistency issues with this channel in the past. And like, I mean, clearly, if you've been here long enough and you've seen the upload schedule, you'll understand exactly what I mean. But like, it's just kind of hard to stay out of your own head at a point, I feel like a long time ago, back when we started this channel, back when I started this channel in 2012, I was probably 9, I would guess, around 9, 10. No, yeah, no, yeah, around 9, 10. And like, I had no care for any sort of like audience or whatever. I just wanted to put things out into the world, to put them out into the world. And that's what I ended up doing. And that's how we got here. And now we're here today. And like a long time ago, I used to upload a bunch more. I used to live stream a bunch more because of the fact that I felt like I didn't really have any care except for like getting content out and creating. That was quite literally it. And at some point there was a transition, and at some point something changed and things just stopped. I started being like, well, the quality could be better here and there, and like there's projects that I want to do that are far like above the budget that I have for anything like what I'm thinking of, and so there's just no way. Why would I go about doing something that I have literally no way of doing, you know? So I kind of lost effort and I lost hope a lot, and I started delving into other different creative projects aside from YouTube. And luckily, I ended up picking up guitar, and that was really beneficial for a lot of reasons, because it gave me a new sort of creative outlet to be expressive in without having to worry about sort of audience interpretation, at least at first, because I did end up playing shows, and I have played a few different shows, both with instruments as well as singing and whatnot. But like, even through all of that, I still, it was different because of the fact that aside from the 2 shows that I did for myself, the other shows that I was doing was with a band and with a collaborative group, so I didn't feel really that external pressure from an audience as much. Like, and I know that sounds crazy, like I definitely did have stage fright, obviously, and that kind of external presence or external pressure, but like that external pressure is different from the external pressure you get when you're trying to cater to an audience instead of going for your own creative vision, or instead of like going, all out. So that's kind of been my experience, honestly, throughout the past several years of creating, of just going all after it. I lost the ability to go all after it. I lost the whole like childlike sense of nature, and I feel like that's something that's very important to cultivate. And in order to kind of get around this, I don't want to say get around, in order to get through this consistency issue that we're having we need a way to cultivate an environment which will be safe in a few different ways and will be beneficial in the long run of everything. So why is it so hard to actually stay on top of consistency and stay on top of these projects? Because building habits is something that takes a long time to do, and especially for something like the creative process, it's a completely different like skill set of habits you have to build, because you are consistently running into failure. You're consistently running into like writer's block. You're consistently running into your own sort of inner critic, and there's just a lot of factors that you end up running into, and you kind of have to learn to start to love the process and trust yourself more than anything else, because if you don't, then you end up letting a lot of things ruin your own art and kind of ruin the vision or whatever you want to get across. And a lot of artists end up falling into trying to cater to an audience and end up losing their own vision along the way, which is rather unfortunate. But you see it happen time and time again, where artists will just, they'll be creating and they'll eventually get to this point where they'll hit like a peak, and then they will want to ride that success for as long as they can. And so they will cater to an audience and try to go with that peak, and then they end up losing themselves and the art just full on in general. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to do that. You kind of have to keep moving. You have to keep evolving as an artist. You have to keep progressing. And so the only way to do that is to get over your sort of inner critic, to push through with the idea and let the idea grow instead of trying to box it in. Because a lot of times what you'll find is when you experience writer's block, it's because you're comparing yourself, or you're trying to essentially make something into something else that it's not. Like for me, for example, I've had a lot of times where I've run into writer's block, especially with actually writing lyrics and things to my songs. And what'll end up happening is I'll come back to it several months later, and even though I won't be in the same mindset or the same feelings that I was initially when writing that, I'll be able to come back to it with kind of a fresh set of eyes and be like, okay, well, here's where I think the direction of the song should actually go, and here's where the direction of the piece I think should go. And you just kind of have to trust yourself with that. Keep throwing things at a wall, but don't do it mindlessly. Like you have to. Songs are about feeling at the end of the day, and art is about the expression of feeling at the end of the day. And so you need to be able to express the humanity in yourself, because the audience should never come first. The artist should always come first. You as the artist should always come first. Art is very cathartic. It is literally expressing yourself. And so before you even think about like putting things out into the world, you should be making things for yourself. And the benefit of putting things out into the world kind of comes with, along the way. If you feel comfortable enough, or if you want to do that, then that comes along the way. But no matter what, whether you're releasing or whether you're not releasing, like as long as you're progressing through your art, and as long as you stay consistent in being able to trust your own process and being able to actually follow through with your ideas, then at the end of the day, you're evolving, and you're evolving your work, and you are creating. And that's what the most important thing is. So essentially, to put that into like very short terms, because I have some bullet points written down here. There's some other reasons that I also kind of pinpointed as to why it's hard to stay on top with consistency. Anxiety and strain on focus, which causes stress, and ultimately stress, that sort of mindset, and that sort of, when you're in that like fight or flight sort of thing, it's a lot different thinking than, normal when you're stagnant like this, like where I'm just sitting on my floor here, taking off my jacket, or at least attempting to here. Stress just impacts your mood tenfold, and like it kind of gives you like a cloudy head, and it makes things really hard to. It just makes everything really hard, because anything you go about doing, you'll just go about doing in frustration at the end, because of the fact that you're stressed out. Some other things, because I want to run through this like kind of fast. conflicts and schedule / time management issues. This has been a big one for me. Actually putting aside time for things like this. I end up procrastinating a lot. I've been procrastinating all day on making this video. I don't really have a script and I've been scared to record, but that's the thing. You need to go into fear and you need to go into that. I don't even know what to call it. Like you need to figure out how to live with the fear, especially I guess of judgment, because at the end of the day, like if your art makes you happy, then there's nothing else that really matters. Like again, you should never be catering to an audience. That's not what it's about. Oh, I turned on my headphone volume. To put it bluntly, like I should be creating here, especially for the art of creating, and because I think this shit's fun. I don't really like if I get hate comments or I get comments that are like, kind of like, okay, sorry to go all scatterbrained, but on my TikTok, I made a TikTok a while back, but kind of like on my TikTok, basically I released a segment of a song that I still haven't released to this day, which is my bad. But I got a couple of hate comments, and I've gotten hate comments on here in the past, and I haven't really cared, and I kind of forgot about how like nice it is to get hate comments, because it makes you feel like you're actually doing something right. Because if someone's hating on it, then they just hate what you're doing, and like it's not trivial. Like again, art is for the artist, it's not for the audience. And so whatever you're doing, no matter what, there's going to be some sort of audience for it, no matter what, like at any point in time, because time is the only thing that's ever changing, and there is consistently going to be people in and out the revolving doors of life. And so if your art doesn't stand up now, maybe it will in 10 years, maybe it will in 2 months, maybe it will in 6 hours. Like, who's to say? There's no saying. That's the whole thing. So, like, I've been trying to get over this mental hurdle myself, and I've been trying to think about, well, I would rather be here on this platform making things for you guys and actually doing things with my weeks, instead of just like spending my time at my like 9 to 5, just not creating, and then wasting away in my bedroom doing nothing and just procrastinating and like looking at social media consistently all day, or looking at Instagram reels and seeing the new Trevor Wallace fucking post. Yeah, no, I would just rather basically be creating as opposed to consuming, because I felt like in the past I've consumed a lot of content, and that's why I know how to edit. That's why I know about how to do music production. Like, it's been beneficial in the long run. It's just a matter of, I feel like it could have been way more beneficial had I kept up with this, or had I kept up with any other creative projects that I've had throughout the years, and actually gone through with things. Because I just watched this video right here. This is a really, really cool interview that Tyler, the Creator, just did recently. But I found it really, really interesting, and it's a really good beneficial watch. But he talks about, it's kind of like this one. Editor me got me, but it's kind of like this video. But it's he talks about basically how he doesn't face. This is the very beginning of it too. He talks about how he doesn't really face fear in creation, just because like he would rather do something at that moment, especially in the terms of expressing a creative idea, as opposed to not, because otherwise down the line you're going to realize that you're not there anymore. You're not in that situation that you were, and you're not going to be able to do the thing that you wanted to do. And so it's much more beneficial to actually have a piece of work from whatever time point or whatever you're doing than to have the regrets there instead. So there's been a lot of projects such as like Adventures of Jack that like I can't sustainably do anymore, or I'd have to like completely revamp. Which is really funny, talking about Adventures of Jack in 2025. That's crazy. If you've been here long enough, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But like, those projects, for example, are really hard to come back to just because of the fact that they kind of grew outside, like the ideas grew way outside of the budget that I had and way outside of anything that I could have done editing wise at the time. And but at the same time, I lost the opportunity to try, and I didn't use the opportunities that I had to try, and therefore now I'm here with like, well, I have a few trailers and I have a few things saying that they were going to launch, but no piece of work. And what good is that going to do? But like, nonetheless, I would still love to come back to that piece at some point in time. That would be really fun, really cool to do. But like, I don't see it in the near future. So, okay. How can we cultivate consistency? How do we cultivate consistency? Because we know, our own past experiences, and we know why it happens because of, whether it be time management or time constraints, or whether it be your own inner critic, or whether it be stress, or whether it be a lack of motivation, mental hurdles, physical hurdles, anything like that. We need to know how to take these things and use the energy from them and actually push it into our own creative efforts to progress them, instead of just sitting and procrastinating and trying to escape the reality around us. So how do we do that? I wrote down, this is going to be me kind of reading off of my notes here, but like basically, if you set aside time for reflection and the processing of your emotions, it'll help you ease your mental strain a lot from day to day, because a lot of and I think that's why therapy is really beneficial to pretty much anybody, because but like, obviously, if you can't go to a therapist like every single day all the time, or maybe you can, I don't know, but like, you kind of need some way to externally process whatever you're going through, whether that be journaling, whether that be talking to somebody, whether that be recording things like this. Like, even if you just record videos for yourself, I saw this wonderful video the other day, and it was recorded quite literally on photo booth on a MacBook, and it was literally like a 50-minute reflection video, and that was it, and it was brilliant, completely, no editing, no nothing. It was just raw emotion, and I'm a big fan of that type of stuff. Because it's like, that's how you get to the truest part of yourself, by just going for it and believing that you can do it. Like, I woke up way earlier today, and it took me until now to record this video, and it is currently 3:39 p.m. at this point, and I was actually supposed to record this yesterday, so it's taken me a day and that to get to recording this. And it's like, why? Like, once I'm actually recording and once I'm doing this, it's not as hard. It's just, I think I get stuck in the headspace of, oh, editing's gonna suck, and so then I just kind of lose track. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I have a week to get into this, so like, I think as long as I'm not like amazing, like putting so many graphics and special explosion, like, I think that this type of stuff is doable, and I feel like these type of videos are doable, because like, I don't know, I like just talking to a camera, and I do want to do like actual like creative stuff too, and I do have ideas in the works for that. There's a few things that I want to talk about, just in general, and I kind of just want to start a conversation, because one of the best things about creating on YouTube is like the fact that you are able to cultivate a community and cultivate a supportive community. I've missed that a lot, and I've missed streaming a lot too, for the same aspects, and I feel like that's cultivating a community and cultivating people that are supportive around you is a big thing in going about trying to be consistent, because if you don't have supportive people in your circles, or people that will boost you up, then you end up getting in your own head, and that inner critic becomes bigger, and then you have this like audience pressure again, and it just becomes this revolving endless loop that you can't get out of. And so in order to like in order to get out of a sort of bad mental spot, in order to get out of the whole writer's block, in order to get out of all of that, you need to stop comparing yourself because, again, you are the only one of you here. And so, like, you are the only one that's going to make art just like you. And so, there's no point in comparing yourself because you are your own person and your art is your art. So, you need to stop comparing, cultivate a community around you that is supportive of you and of what you're doing. And I personally recommend this being like kind of tight knit because there's power in few, in my opinion, especially when it comes to feedback. I feel like feedback is really good at all levels of development in your creativity, but especially in early phases for me, I find that I want to end up sharing things really early on. And so it's important to have people that you can trust to share those things with that will give you constructive feedback as opposed to bringing you down. Because then later down the line, when you're in those final stages, they'll know exactly how it was back then. They'll be able to give you drastically better feedback. And it'll be different feedback from other people that you go to with the final product too, obviously, but like it's all really important. And as long as you have a supportive group around you, then it's pretty easy to slowly get over those mental hurdles that are holding you back from actually achieving what you want to. You need to create a safe space as well, like at home or wherever you're doing this type of thing. And you need to set aside time for like self-care, I feel like, in whatever sense that means to you, whether it be going to the gym, going on walks, meditating, even sitting like and just relaxing with the intent of I'm going to go in and just relax is drastically different than just trying to relax, because there's been a lot of times that I've found myself sitting at home trying to watch a show or whatever, just trying to enjoy my day off, like today, and then I'll find myself really stressed by the end of it, and it's like, well, why is that happening? I'm not doing anything what's stressing me out, and it's the fact that I'm not giving myself the grace or like the room to actually relax, because it's a caveat to something, like it's like a means to an end. It has to be, I have to relax so I can get back to work, so I can do this and that. And like, you just need to give yourself the mental freedom to be able to do that and be able to stop and be able to take a breather and be able to reflect without the pressure of anything around you. Like cultivating a good like 30 minutes to an hour just for yourself and just to like completely let go for a little bit and breathe and realize that you're human and whatnot is really important, because in a society that's consistently fast paced in a lot of different things, like you need to be able to cultivate that sort of self-care, otherwise you're going to go insane. And this can also go for like skincare routines. This can go for like reading, like anything that like cultivates your mind and makes you happier ultimately counts as a form of self-care. And so I would highly recommend doing that, and you'll find a lot of the things that you have issues in, such as creation, will actually come a lot easier to you because of the fact that you have a lot more mental freedom and you have all of the stress sort of just let go, and it just sort of melts away, and you are just like free to do as you do, and then the hardest part, in my opinion, actually I would consider both of these to be hard, very, very hard, at least for me. But having your art very close to you, I feel like is very important, especially in the early development of it, because you end up doing a lot of comparing just anyways, I feel like, based on the fact that you, again, in terms of music, if you've been listening to songs your entire life, then you have this like backlog catalog of how things have sounded and how things should sound, and should is not, it's not, it, there's no instruction manual. Like, it's all just creativity. There's no should sound. Like, if you want to completely shift a genre or mash two genres together, then fucking do it, you know? Like, it's really just about creating in the end and being able to get yourself and your expression into the art and as raw and real as you can be, because the more that you try to cater towards an audience and the more that you kind of let things get to you like that, the more that you stray further away from your own art and from your own kind of vision. And I think that's been one of the hardest parts for me for this entire thing is I've cared a lot about how you guys perceive this and how this comes out. And in reality, it's just I really shouldn't, because it's about the actual creation part in the end. And I care a lot more about creating and putting things out there and trying new things out and just continuously learning how to do things as opposed to staying stagnant. And I'm slowly starting to realize that over time. I think that's all that I have to say. I've been recording for 27 minutes. Holy shit. This one's going to be a long one to edit, but and I meant to switch scenes too and whatnot, but I kind of yabber on. I kind of just jabber. I really like doing this though. This is fun. This is great. I love doing this. I did vacuum my floor, by the way. By the way, thanks for asking. I think that's why there's kind of scuff marks, which is, if you know anything about that, let me know. Like why it's not just like the, you know, the carpet grain where you just like do. Like it's just like, you know, scuff marks. It's crazy. Anyways, if you like what you saw, feel free to click the like button, I guess. I didn't plan on saying that. I kind of just like the little things at the bottom. Like YouTube did a little update where they like make them like shine, so I can be like, subscribe, comment, and you know it'll do its little thing because it has little keywords. I think that's really neat. I don't know. I've always been a big fan of like tech things like that. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys very soon next week, because we're starting a schedule of uploads on Wednesdays. That's right. We're going to be trying to do this consistency thing. We're going to be trying to upload every freaking Wednesday. Might be doing some music too. Depends. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Peace.